So the first thing that we want to do is to create a tiny Quasar app. And we'll start very simple. We open a terminal first, and then we cd into our base directory. So documents, base. Now in this base directory, we create our Quasar app. And we call this hello world. So we say npm init Quasar. This will start the Quasar launch app. So we can just go here, accept the default in the project folder. We call this hello world. And then from here we accept the defaults through. So package name is hello world, product we keep the way it is, product description keep the way it is, author just put my name in here, and then again the defaults. And now the Quasar installer will build the initial application. This can take a moment. Okay, now our install is finished, so the project was created. The next step, we open our VS Code, and here we open the project. So we navigate to our project folder. Which I have here in the base, and here's our Hello World project. We open this up, and now on the left side we can see the structure that this project has, that Quasar installed. So here the important part is the source code folder. This is where our project really lives, where all the source code lives. And in here it's the pages and the layouts that make the core of the application. To start with something that you have seen before that is familiar to you, I show you the index template HTML page. You can see here this is your normal standard HTML scaffold. And so you have the doc type up here, you have the HTML tag, the head, and then you have the body tag down here, and then you have a single div down here. And in this single div, this is where our application will be basically inserted into the document object model. So so I want to show you the index page, which basically is the core of the page, and we want to actually start this and run this. So I'm bringing up a terminal in VS Code, and here in the terminal I need to, and I'm already in the Hello World folder, so make sure that this says Hello World here, so that you are in that folder, so that it actually works. And here you say Quasar dev, then hit enter, and this will compile the application, this JavaScript application, Quasar JavaScript application, and launch this here in the browser on the right side. So here's our Quasar Hello World project, and so there's actually also a menu up here with some more links. And we want to kind of, customize this a little bit so that you can get a sense of what it takes to make changes to this, and how you develop with this. So the first thing that you want to make sure is that you have autosave on here in VS Code, because if you have autosave on, every time you make a change to the code, the system will recompile everything automatically and show this in the browser right away. So, and for that, you open up the settings. Here on macOS, it's the command comma. That's the shortcut that opens up the settings, and you look for autosave here. And then for autosave, I have this here after delay. So if you have not set this before, it will be off. So you would have to manually always save the file when you make a change. So I put this at after delay, and this is at 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So every time I make a change and do not type anything new or make any other change, within a second this system will update, save automatically, and refresh the page. This is very convenient, very easy. So the first thing we want to do is we want to remove the image here, the logo. So when I take this away, you will see the image, the logo just disappeared from my active page here on the right side. And then the next thing I want to remove is this defined component here, because this is there only for TypeScript, and we're not working for TypeScript at the moment, because TypeScript, while this becomes increasingly popular, makes the thing a little bit more complicated, and we don't want this at this time. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a very simple, tiny little application, which is nothing else than a button that creates a count that you can see on the screen. So the application will be, we put a button on the page, and then when you click the button, it increments a counter, and the counter is visible also on the page. That's what we're going to do. And so for that, I want to use a button component. And for that, I go here to the website of Quasar. And because here is where we have the components, where we have a component library. Components, as I've said on the slides before, is basically it's a big Lego set that you can just plug into your code, and it builds quickly an application. So we go here into the view components, and we're looking for a button. And so we scroll down here, and we're looking for a button. Where's our button? Here's our buttons. So here's the button, and this then brings up this page here. We scroll down, and here we have standard buttons. So they are all displayed here. If I click here on the view source, then basically all I need to do, I can just copy this out here, and then take this into my code, bring this in here, and then just add some tabs here. And as you can see already, there's our button on our page that was immediately updated. So I want to change the text on the button, and I just say let's add, and immediately it's updated, so I can just continue to develop. So the next thing that I need is a variable, because this is our counter variable that we want to show on the screen. So I go here into my JavaScript part, and bring in a data section. Data. This is syntax that you just need to remember. Once you have done this a few times, then it becomes kind of like second nature. So counter, and we initialize that with a 0. Then the next thing we want to do is we need a method that manipulates this counter here. So we add here a methods section, and create a function, JavaScript function called counter, increment. And then here we increment the counter. We access the variable with this, and then say counter plus plus. So the keyword this refers to the inner side of an object, of a JavaScript object. This entire a section here of JavaScript basically is an object, and by using this, we're referring to the counter up here, and we can just increment this counter by using the double plus. Then the next thing is we need to access this increment from our button, and here we create a click event on our button. Click equals, and then we call our function increment. That's it. As you can see, also when I type something, the syntax is not correct, which means it creates error message, but it immediately goes away once I get the syntax correct. So now we have a click a click event here on our button, and this calls the increment. And so even if I do something like here, click this button, we don't see anything because I don't make this visible yet here. So I need to show my counter on the screen. And I do this by, I'm using here a paragraph tag, and then I use the handlebars and refer here to our counter. So now our counter is here on the right side of the button. You can see there's a little 0. It's a little hard to see. And when I click this button, you can see already that it increments, that the number increments. But we want to have the number, in a better place. It's, right next to the button, doesn't look very well. So we basically, what we want to do, we want to style this a little bit better. And so we create a style tag down here, and then create a class, and I call this vertical. And here we say flex direction column, semicolon. Now this basically flex direction is a CSS command that refers to flex box, which is a specific CSS technology that has been developed to make the styling of a HTML sheet easier. So, and I want to add this in as a class into our page here where it says flex center. So I add this up here, and my style, I called my style vertical. So when I do this, then you see immediately that our counter is now dropped down the button, down below the button. Another thing I want to do is just make the font larger, and so I create another class, let's say called big font, and then here I give this a font size, let's say 32 pixels, just to say something. But in order to make this actually apply, I need to bring in this class here on my paragraph tag. So I add the class big font. And immediately our counter gets bigger. Now I still want to have a little bit of space between the button and my counter here, because this is kind of too close. So basically what I do here is I add a predefined class that comes with Quasar, which makes the styling, especially when it comes to margins and padding, a lot easier. So there's I use a predefined Quasar class. That's why it starts with a Q and a dash, and I say margin, and I want the margin on the top of the button. That's why it's T, and I want to have this at medium size. So now, as you can tell right away, the 0 and the edge, the button has more space between. Okay, so and as when you click the button, you can see how this all keeps updating. The magic here is that the counter in our paragraph between the handlebar, this directly refers to the variable in the data section, and every time this variable is updated, it automatically updates also in the page, and that's what we call reactive. So I don't have to add any specific JavaScript to make the counter on the page update. It happens automatically. That's the magic of reactive JavaScript. And so, these frameworks like Angular, React, and Vue.js, they all have this reactive capability, which makes building these pages really a lot of fun. Okay, so at this point, I encourage you to try all this out yourself. Just follow what I just did and play with all these elements. If you want to use other blocks, other Legos, I call them Lego blocks, here from, meaning view components from Quasar. Just go through the list of what's here and just plug in other things. All you need to do is you go into where it says usage, and there's examples here. You go out here into view source, and then you just copy something like a piece of code, copy this straight into your code here, and then it appears straight on your page. Okay, and then you can play with all the attributes that are on these components. All right, thanks for watching.